He promised me I'd never have to work a day in my life. He told me he'd take care of everything, that I was his queen, his forever. I believed him. I built my life around him. I gave up dreams for him. And while I stayed at home, pouring every ounce of love I had into our marriage, he was out chasing younger women, laughing behind my back. I didn't just lose trust. I lost myself. But here's the thing. I found something else too. I found revenge. And let me tell you, it was delicious. My name's Claire. And if you'd met me 10 years ago, you'd probably say I was lucky. Lucky, because I was married to David. Lucky, because people looked at us and thought we had it all. Lucky, because I had the kind of life people only saw in rom-coms. At least, that's what it looked like on the outside. I met David when I was 24. He was 30, successful, sharp-dressed, the kind of man who could walk into a room and immediately make every head turn. He wasn't just handsome. He had charisma that wrapped around you like velvet. He made you feel like you were the only person in the world worth talking to. On our third date, he leaned across the table, held my hand, and said the words that would shape the next 7 years of my life. "You'll never have to work a day in your life, Claire. I'll take care of you. Always." It sounds like a fairy tale, right? And in that moment, I wanted to believe it. I had just finished college, struggling to figure out what I wanted to do. I had dreams, writing, maybe starting a boutique, but they felt far away, like castles in the clouds. And here was this man, offering me a life where I didn't have to struggle, didn't have to fight for every dollar. I felt chosen, cherished, protected. And so, I believed him. The first few years were bliss. At least, I thought they were. David showered me with gifts. Jewelry, handbags, spontaneous trips to Paris or Cabo. He loved showing me off at company parties, arm draped around me as though I were proof of his success. And I played my part perfectly. The supportive wife. The beautiful accessory. The woman who didn't need a career, because her husband was her world. But here's the thing no one tells you. When someone promises you a life without work, what they don't say is that it often becomes a life without purpose. Slowly, I felt myself shrinking. My days blurred into routines, Pilates, shopping, waiting for him to come home. I tried to convince myself it was happiness, that comfort was the same as fulfillment. But deep down, a quiet voice whispered, "You're losing yourself." Still, I ignored it. Because David, he was my anchor. Or at least, I thought he was. It started with late nights. "Big project at work," he'd say, loosening his tie as he slipped off his shoes. "Don't wait up." Then came the trips. Business dinners. Weekends away. His cologne lingering on his shirts long after he returned. At first, I wanted to trust him. I chose to trust him. Because what's the alternative? Admit that your entire marriage is built on lies? No. I wasn't ready to face that. But then, there were signs I couldn't ignore. Lipstick on his collar, not mine. Whispers on phone calls he took in the garage. The way his eyes slid past me at breakfast, like I was wallpaper. It was like living with a ghost. He was there, but he wasn't mine anymore. And my heart started to fracture. The truth arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. I was folding laundry when his phone buzzed on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. But something inside me, call it instinct, call it survival, told me to look. The screen lit up. "Can't wait for tonight. Wear the blue dress you know I love." My stomach dropped. I unlocked his phone, yes, I knew his password. And there it was. A flood of texts. Photos. Plans. Secrets. He wasn't just cheating. He was building another life. A life with her. I remember dropping his phone on the floor, clutching my stomach as if someone had driven a knife straight into me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The man who promised me forever had already handed my forever to someone else. That night, I sat in the dark, staring at the wall. I thought about every sacrifice I'd made, every dream I'd set aside, every time I told myself to be patient, be supportive, be the good wife. And what did I get in return? Abandonment. Betrayal. Humiliation. Something inside me cracked. I whispered to myself, no more. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fall apart in front of him. No. I was going to make him pay. And I wanted the whole world to watch him burn. Revenge isn't something you rush. It's something you savor. I started small. Observing. Collecting. Every excuse he gave me, every late night, every photo he left behind on his phone, I archived it all. But I knew whispers weren't enough. I needed proof that couldn't be denied. So one night, when he thought I was asleep, I followed him. Quiet, careful, heart pounding so hard I thought it might explode. And I saw them. Together. Laughing. Touching. His hands on her waist like they used to be on mine. That's when I pulled out my phone. I recorded everything. His words. Her giggles. The promises he made to her, the same ones he once made to me. It was all mine now. Evidence. My weapon. The timing had to be perfect. David had a promotion dinner coming up. He was giddy about it, bragging that the boss was going to recognize him publicly, maybe even name him vice president. He thought it was his golden night. I decided it would be his funeral. The morning of the dinner, I sat at my computer, hands trembling not from fear, but from anticipation. I drafted an email. Attached the recording. Added a few choice screenshots of his texts. And then, I sent it. Straight to his boss. And his boss's wife. That night, David strutted into the restaurant like a king. I sat at home, sipping wine, imagining the storm about to erupt. It didn't take long. By dessert, phones were buzzing. His boss's wife stood up, face red with fury, and stormed out. The boss followed. Then came the whispers, the stares, the sudden chill in the room as David realized everyone knew. By the next morning, he was unemployed. His reputation? Shattered. And his mistress? Gone, the second his money disappeared. He lost everything. And me. I was free. The divorce was swift. The alimony generous. And for the first time in years, I felt alive again. I used that money to start the business I'd once dreamed of. A boutique. My boutique. And you know what? I was good at it. Better than I ever imagined. Within a year, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I built a name for myself, a life that was mine, success that couldn't be taken away. And every day, I grew stronger. It was almost poetic when David came crawling back. 1 year after our divorce, he showed up at my store. Disheveled, desperate, eyes pleading. Claire, I made a mistake. I miss you. I need you. For a moment, I just looked at him. The man who once held my entire world in his hands now stood before me, broken. And then, I laughed. I looked him dead in the eyes and said the words that had been waiting on my tongue for months. I don't hire failures. And then I walked away. Betrayal can break you. It can strip you of everything you thought you were. But sometimes, betrayal is also the fire that forges you into something stronger. I thought David's promises were my safety net. Turns out, they were my cage. And when that cage shattered, I learned how to fly. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Tell me in the comments if you were in my shoes, would you have done the same? Or would you have walked away without looking back? Either way, remember this, karma has perfect timing. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply becoming the person they never believed you could be.